Thank you. All right. So I've been given like 10 to 20 minutes to tell this story. Admittedly, I tend to go long, but I promise the story is really good. So we went on tour in 2024 telling strange, dark, and mysterious stories. And this was our finale. This was a really good story. It's pretty dark, gonna be honest, but it's pretty good. All right. So in the fall of 1986, there was this man named Frank Bowen who lived in a small town in Massachusetts called Pepperell. And he had two kids, 15-year-old Tina and 9-year-old Karen. And in the fall of 1986, unfortunately, Frank's wife died. She died of cancer, and it was devastating for the family, not only because obviously losing your mom is a big deal, but also because she was 50% of the household income. So just immediately, like, this family is thrust into a really difficult position on multiple levels. And for Frank, he's dealing with the fact now that his two daughters are grieving the loss of their mother they were so close with, but he also has to pick up the slack and go get more hours, go work more to make up the difference with his wife now not being able to work. So pretty much immediately after his wife's death, you have Frank working all these extra shifts. He's doing his best to be, a consoling father to help his girls grieve, but he can only do so much because he is quite literally at work now all the time. And so in the immediate weeks following the death of the mom, the two girls are left alone at home a lot. The older daughter, Tina, has sort of taken up this role of being like the babysitter for Karen, the 9-year-old. And for the most part, considering the incredible grief, they were okay in the first few weeks immediately after her death. But the two girls, despite putting on a brave face, really were struggling. They missed their mom terribly. And they really just wanted like one more interaction with their mom. And so one night when Frank's out doing one of his late shifts, the girls are home alone. Tina's sort of in charge. And the girls decide they're going to literally try to talk to their mom. They're going to have a seance. They're going to get the Ouija board out, and they're going to attempt to contact their deceased mother. And so the girls, for the sake of time, I'm not going to describe a Ouija board. I normally do. I'm sort of an explainer, but it's a way to contact the dead. So anyways, the girls, they get out this Ouija board, and their dad's not home. They're all alone, and they go down into the basement. And they get their Ouija board out. They put their fingers on the planchette, and they're like, "Mom, if you're here in the basement with us right now, give us a sign." Nothing happens. The planchette doesn't move. They keep asking more and more questions. "Mom, we miss you so much. If there's any way you can show us that you're still with us, show us. Move it around. Show us any sign you're here with us. We miss you so much." But nothing happens. Over and over, despite putting their whole heart and soul into it, nothing happens. And so pretty disappointed, even though admittedly they didn't literally believe mom's going to pop up, but somewhere in the back of their mind, they missed her so terribly that they thought maybe she'll show up, but she didn't. And so the girls pack up their Ouija board, they leave the basement, their dad's still not home yet, and they go to their bedrooms upstairs. And they're now just laying in bed, sort of in the aftermath of what turned out to be a pretty disappointing night. Frank's still not home yet. And as the girls are laying there in separate bedrooms, they start to hear something in the house. And at first, they can't quite tell what it is, but it's like a tapping sound. It's a sort of unnatural tapping sound coming from somewhere in the house. It's not on the floor they're on. It's at least down on the first floor. It could be in the basement, but they definitely hear a tapping sound. The older daughter, Tina, doesn't think much of it. But Karen, the 9-year-old, gets spooked. She's all alone in a room, and there's weird tapping happening in the house. And so she goes into her big sister's room, and she's like, "Tina, do you hear that? Do you hear that tapping sound?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's not a big deal. It's probably nothing. Don't worry about it." But Karen's like, "I'm going to stay with you." And so Tina and Karen are now in the same bed together, trying to fall asleep, but the tapping sound is not going away. And it's getting sort of rhythmic. It's like tap, 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 long pause. Tap, 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 long pause. And the girls, even though Tina's trying to do her best to be really calm for the younger one, she's starting to feel spooked. But then Tina, the older one, she thinks of something. She's like, wait a minute, Karen, what if it's mom? What if this is mom? Maybe our seance worked. Maybe this is her communicating with us, the thing we were trying to get to happen. Maybe it's happening now. Let's go see what it is. Let's go see if it's mom. And so they get out of bed and the tapping is coming from somewhere downstairs. And they go to the top of the stairs in the second floor where they are, and they're listening, and they can hear somewhere downstairs is the tapping sound. And at some point, Tina, the older one, says, hey, mom, is that you? Tap, tap, tap. An affirmative response immediately after she says it. Now the girls are excited. It is mom. Mom, is that really you down there? Tap, tap, tap. It's mom. The girls are pumped. The girls are like, I can't believe it worked. They go downstairs. They get to the first floor, and they start hearing this tapping. They're firing off questions for their mom, some of which aren't even a yes-no question, but every time they ask a question, the only response they get is tap, tap, tap immediately after the question ends. They trace the tapping all the way to the door that leads into the basement of their house. The door's shut, and they hear the tapping down in the basement. Now they're really confident it's mom, but they're also children, and basements are scary. And they decide, as much as we want to go down there and see mom, this is good enough. We'll stay at the top of the stairs, and we'll just talk to mom. So from the top of the stairs for the next 30 minutes or so, the girls are just having this sort of weird conversation into the darkness of the basement with their dead mom. And every time they get that tap, tap, tap. Eventually, though, the tapping stops. Frank's still not home yet. It's late at night. The girls they don't know what's going on, but they're psyched. They're jazzed up. Frank comes home, and again, the tapping has stopped by this point. They haven't gone in the basement yet. And the girls are like, Dad, we had this seance, and it worked. Mom was here. She was tapping. She's in the basement. We were asking her questions. She's here. And Frank, who's just worked like his 10th double of the week, he knows his kids are grieving. His first reaction is not to say, it was not your mother. She's dead. No, he's like, I'm sure your mother's with us. Of course she's with us. She's going to be with us forever. And so he's not thinking much about this. He's just like, this is the way they're grieving. I don't know what to make of it, but it is what it is. Over the next couple of days, because the girls go to bed at this point, they're psyched. Their dad's accepted that it's mom. Over the next couple of days, the tapping continues. But oddly, Frank never hears it. The girls will hear it. They'll call their dad, but Frank can't hear it. It stops. It isn't that the girls hear it and he doesn't. The tapping seems to stop whenever Frank's nearby, not when the girls are nearby. But the girls are so convinced it's their mom, that she's here. This is great. After a few days, though, when the tapping stops just being in the basement and it starts to make its way up to the top floor, predominantly at night, sometimes it's underneath their beds. They'll hear tapping under their beds in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's in their closet. The girls start to think maybe it's not mom. Now it's sort of scary. I don't know what it is. Dad never seems to hear it, but there's something in our house. And so they start to wonder if maybe the seance worked, but it wasn't mom they brought out. Maybe it was something evil, an evil entity we brought into our house. And Frank, the father, is sort of like seeing this happen in real time. And he's gone from, this is okay, it's my children grieving, to my kids have like an issue here. They're not grieving properly, let's say. This isn't healthy what they're doing, because he doesn't think it's real. He doesn't think there's something physically making the tapping sound in the house. He's not rude to his kids, but he tells them, this is about 4 or 5 days after the tapping's begun. The girls are now scared of the tapping. He tells them, guys, I know you miss your mom, but if you can't let this tapping thing go, we're going to have to start therapy. some sort of counseling here. This is not good for you. This is not a good way to grieve your mom. But the girls are adamant that they're not lying. They're not making this up. And it's like, Dad, we don't think it's mom anymore. We don't know what it is, but it's bad. So they start fighting. There's a fight going on in the house, but Frank's busy. He's working all the time. He's barely home. The girls were alone a lot. They actually start finding excuses, the girls, to not be home by themselves now because it's just too scary. But at some point around the same time, this is like a week after this whole thing began, the girls are home alone. Frank's at work. And the girls start hearing the tapping sound, which was fairly commonplace. It was all over the house at this point, but they're hearing it right now, specifically in the basement. And they were standing in the kitchen, where the door to the basement is from the kitchen. And when they hear it, the girls sort of look at each other, like, what are we going to do? This has been going on and on. Our dad doesn't believe us. What are we going to do? And Tina, the 15-year-old, she walks over and gets a knife off the butcher's block and says to Karen, we got to go downstairs. We have to confront whatever's in our house. We got to see what it is. Our dad doesn't believe us. And so together, little Karen tucked in behind Tina with the knife, they open up the door to the basement. It's dark downstairs. The tapping is definitely happening down there. And down the stairs they go. No idea what they're going to find. They get to the basement. They flip on the lights. And the basement is threadbare. It's like a classic Northeast basement. It's like cement, low ceilings, like a washer dryer, like a drain sort of conspicuously in the middle of the floor. There's like nothing down there besides a couple of things. And they look around, they don't even know what they're expecting, but there's nothing down there. And the tapping stops. And so the girls are like, do you think it's like a raccoon or something? Is there an animal in here? Is it a bird? But now they're freaked out. And in a way, almost more, because they know they've heard something for a week. Think how jarring that would be if you went to where the sound was for the first time and there's nothing there. Pretty unsettling. So they're like, all right, let's get out of here. Let's go upstairs. And they start walking up the stairs. And as they're walking up the stairs back to the kitchen, they notice something on the wall. There's writing on the wall. In red, it says, I'm in your closet. Come find me. And the girls immediately panic, bolt out of the basement. They do not go searching for whoever wrote this. They leave the house and they run next door to their neighbor and they bang on the door. The neighbor comes to the door. He's like, what's going on? They're like, oh my God, there's a ghost in our house. There's writing on the walls. They can't even explain it. It's madness. But the girls are obviously totally upset about something. And so the neighbor, who is clearly aware these girls have lost their mother very recently, sort of aware there's been some troubles at home, immediately says, come on inside, girls. Come on inside. We'll wait for your dad. He'll know what to do. And so Frank comes home like an hour or two later. The neighbor hails Frank down. Frank comes over and the neighbor explains what the girls said. And Frank's like, oh, okay, I know what this is about. I'll go check it out. And the girls are like, no, Dad, don't go there. Like, there's something going on in our house. But the dad goes to the house to have a look around. And sure enough, he does find writing on the wall in the stairwell going down to the basement. It's in ketchup, It does say, come find me. I'm in your closet, but it's in ketchup. He's thinking the girls did this. This is the girls. They've taken it to a new level here, but this is the girls. This has to stop. Like it's gone too far, way too far, has to stop. So he goes back over to the neighbor's house and he's not mad at his girls at all. He recognizes this is trauma. This is a number of things, but as delicately as he can be, he tells his girls, guys, there's nothing in our house, but we're starting therapy. That's the only thing we can do at this point. You must go to therapy. It's not healthy. I don't want to hear anything from you. That's what we're going to do. And the girls are so shaken up by the whole thing, they're just resigned. They're like, it is what it is. Fine, we'll go to therapy. They start therapy pretty much immediately. Like the next day, they're in therapy. And wouldn't you know it, the tapping, everything stops in the house. Everything goes back to normal. Like life is totally great at the Bowen household for about 2 weeks. And actually, in those 2 weeks, it was like, in some ways, their lives sort of improved. It's like Frank's job they gave him a raise, so he was working less. The girls had sort of gotten back to being okay, being at home. There's no tapping, no nothing. But then one night, this is 2 weeks after therapy has begun, and nothing has happened in those 2 weeks, Frank takes the girls out for ice cream in the evening. So Frank, Tina, Karen, and also their friend Kathleen. They go out, they get some ice cream, and then they come back to the house, to the Bowen household. Frank and all his daughters and their friend. And right away, as they're walking up to the house, something's off. Something's off with the house. Number one, there are some lights on in the house that were certainly not on when they left. And even though they didn't really call it out, over the 2 weeks where nothing was going on, a couple times silverware seemed to be placed in different spots. A couple times lights were on that shouldn't have been. Frank sort of wrote it off. But he's come home, the house has been locked, they've been away, and there are lights on in the house. And so Frank doesn't say anything to the girls. He goes up to the front door, he unlocks the door, and as he's opening the door, he knows something else is wrong. There's a TV on inside. There's a radio on somewhere. Like someone's been in the house. The girls pick up on it right away, and suddenly this illusion that everything was gone, it shatters. And the girls are petrified that dad doesn't need to explain what's going on. It's back, whatever it is. And so the girls instinctively sort of tuck up behind Frank, like in a little row. They're terrified. They're right behind Frank. And Frank, it's like he's having this clash of realities. My daughters were doing this. Somebody else did this to my house. How can I reconcile that? And so he's like wandering into the house, sort of trying to process what's even happening. Is this real? And he's like walking from room to room, and there are lights on and chairs have been moved. Nothing sinister, but stuff that he didn't do. He knows his girls didn't do. And so he has this sort of lackadaisical search of the house where, again, he's like, did you guys do this? What in the world? And he searches the whole house and doesn't find anything until he gets to the last room at the very front of the house, the one room he hadn't checked yet. It was basically right off the front door. It had a window facing out over the street, and the girls, again, are right behind him. And he walks into this final room. He's not like, we're looking for a perpetrator. He's just kind of like, what's going on? He walks into this final room. So he's looking out basically at the street. And above the windows, written in shaving cream, it just says, "Marry me." And Frank's looking up at it, and his girls are right behind him. And then he hears movement from the closet that's right over here. It's a small room. And all of them turn and they look. And out of the closet, the end. Just kidding, that's not the end. And out of the closet walks this person with a hatchet over their shoulder, wearing a dress that belonged to Frank's wife, with literal clown makeup on their face. And they walk over to Frank and they just say, "Go upstairs." And so Frank and his army of little girls, Frank kind of positions himself in front of this guy or gal, doesn't know which, and sort of silently ushers them out of the room. The axe-wielding, dress-wearing, clown makeup-wearing maniac is just sort of trailing them, and they start going up the stairs. Because what else do you do in this situation? I don't know. They get to the top of the stairs, and Frank tells the girls, "Go in the first bedroom, go in the first bedroom." And so Kathleen, Karen, Tina, they go in first, and then Frank goes in, and the maniac is following up the stairs slowly, like out of a horror movie, but it's real. And as soon as Frank gets in, he slams the door shut and he holds it. And there's this struggle that's going on at the door between the maniac and Frank. And at the same time, Tina, the 15-year-old, just turns, runs, and leaps out the second floor window. Just jumps out of the house, smashes into the ground, and she runs next door to the same neighbor that they went to a couple days ago. And it's like, "Oh my God, there's someone in the house, call 911. They call 911. Police show up minutes later. They were in the area. And when they get there, they look up to the second floor and they can see Frank and also Kathleen and Tina are waving from the window. They're not prepared to jump out, right? But Frank is saying, he's gone. There was someone in the hallway. I don't know where he is. He's in my house somewhere. And so the police, they get a ladder. They get Frank down. They get the girls down. Everybody's safe. But now the police have to go in and see what the heck just happened. Who was it? What happened here? Frank's trying to give his, they had a dress on and they had a hatchet. I don't know, like the crazy maniac. And so the police, they go into the house, guns drawn, looking for this maniac, and they can't find him. They look everywhere. This is a serious search. They cannot find anybody in the house. But what they do find is at the back of the first floor, the sliding glass door was slightly open, and there was a hatchet laying up against the wall, like you'd left it there when you walked out of the house. And so the police, they sort of leave, and they're like, it looks like they left, but it's not safe for you to be here. Like, you got to evacuate your house for the next couple of days. We'll watch your house just to make sure nobody's there or nobody goes in. And then in a couple of days, you can go back home, and we'll do our best to find this person. But admittedly, with your description, it really could be anybody. We don't know who this is. And so Frank, his girls, they leave, they go to a family friend's house. And for the next couple of days, they're just waiting for updates. Who was it? Where are they? Are they caught? Terrified. But, Frank, he's in touch with the police, and they're like, yeah, nothing. No one comes to your house. We've been watching your house 24/7. Nothing's going on. And so after 3 days of this, Frank's sort of over it, right? Like all his stuff is in his house. He just wants to go home. And so he's like, all right, I'm just going to drive over there, and I'm going to just get my toiletries, get a couple of things I need. What's the big deal? And so he goes to his house. This is the first time he's been back. And right away, he notices that he doesn't see a police car anywhere. And he's been told there's police monitoring your house sort of conspicuously all the time, and there's no police. And he's like, oh, that's weird. But then he sees what he thinks is movement in the second floor of his house. And he's like, oh, I guess the police must be in my house. Right, because that's what they told him. He's thinking, I guess that's got to be what it is. But just to make sure, he goes to his neighbor's house. This is 1986, and he uses his neighbor's landline to call police and say, hey, I'm here at my house. I want to get a couple of things. It looks like you guys are in my house. Can you just let the officer know that I'm coming into the house? I don't want to startle anybody. And the officer's like, no one's in your house. The officers just did a turnover. You must have shown up right when there was a gap in security, but no one's gone in your house. No one's gone in your house, period. We don't even have the key. And Frank's like, I'm pretty sure someone's in my house right now. So the police are like, Frank, don't go in your house. They show up to his house, and they are like, we're going to go in there, and we're going to search this place for real. Something's off here. We missed something. We got to look. Police go up to the front door of the house. They open it up, and immediately the scene they see is just madness. No one's been in the house to this point. There are pennies glued to the ceiling all across the first floor. There are knives that are jammed into the pictures of the girls with the words, I'll kill you, I'm going to kill you, I'm coming for you. It's almost like bad horror movie, like knives in pictures of the girls threatening to kill them. But again, this is real. There are these like half-finished bottles of champagne all over the house. Furniture's been turned upside down. Like, it's just this weird scene. But the police, really, their whole thing is like, how? We've been watching this save for a couple minutes of a day all the time, and no one went in or out of this house. And so now they get back up and they tear this house apart. They are going to find who is in this house or how they're getting in or something. They have to figure it out. And for hours, the police search this home, and they can't find anything. Besides the weird stuff, they found that there's no person. And there's no sign of somebody coming in or out of the house. And at a certain point, a couple of the officers find themselves in the basement, the threadbare basement. And they're like, man, we must have missed something. Like, what was it? What did we miss? And one of them was leaning on the washing machine. And as he's literally saying, what do we miss? The washing machine moves. And it reveals in the wall a hole in the wall. And there's clearly some sort of tunnel system in the wall. And the cop pokes his head into this hole in the wall that they hadn't found. And basically like 10 or 15 feet in the wall, like there's a nest in the wall. And there's this boy, this teenager, crouched down, wearing a dress with makeup on, staring back at him. And his name was Danny LaPlante. Danny LaPlante was pulled out of the wall. And I'm going to tell you about Danny LaPlante because this story takes a markedly horrible turn. So Danny LaPlante, He very briefly dated Tina, the 15-year-old, like a year earlier. Tina didn't even remember that they dated. So this was not a serious relationship. This was like very low stakes. But they dated, according to him. But they broke up, and he was really upset. And so what did Danny do? He broke into their house almost immediately after they broke up, burrowed a hole in their wall, and was living in their wall for the better part of the past 6 months. He had developed a tunnel system all through their house. When the girls were down there with their Ouija board, he was in the wall. He was listening. He knew they were trying to find their mom, talk to their mom. He is the one who did the tapping sound, pretending to be their mother. He intentionally didn't make sounds so the father wouldn't hear. He's the one who wrote on the wall. But even more disturbing is Danny LaPlante didn't just stay in the wall. He routinely left the wall and in broad daylight would be walking around their house, and they never knew. He went under the children's bed and was flicking at their bed springs in the middle of the night. He was shameless, never caught. Total psychopath. So he gets pulled out of the house, and this is like this unbelievable, horrible thing for the family. Like, oh my God, our privacy's been invaded. What could have happened to us? Danny LaPlante goes to jail, but while he's waiting for trial, he's let out on bail 10 months later. Danny LaPlante almost immediately did the same thing to another family, but killed the entire family. And then Danny LaPlante goes to jail for life. He's still in jail, but he was recently up for a parole hearing. He was denied, but he is regarded now as the single most unstable, psychotic person in our entire federal prison system. That's why they said, we can't release you. You are basically the craziest, worst person in the entire world, is effectively what they're saying. So on that very light note, that's the end of the story. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. And maybe for those people back there, thank you very much.